Hey everyone, it is Tanner here, Dr. Fresh Hour, with another video log. And the content of today's video log is pretty straightforward and simple. I'm going to talk about my program a little bit, what it's about, how it works, and give you some examples of some topics that I might cover, and some of the benefits that clients have had working with me in the past. So, in regards to what my program is, my program started as a get somebody to do something that they want to do for a little bit longer program. You might call that like a wellness program, a health program. Maybe you call me a health coach, wellness coach, I don't know, whatever you want to call me, that's fine. And the way it worked was essentially I got this person eating a little differently, living a little differently, exercising, which was a little painful at first to get them to do that. But it evolved into we check up, every week, every other week for a little while and just make sure things are going accordingly, that they're sticking to the plan. The plan changed a lot. The exercises changed a lot. I had to film, like little tutorials on how to do these exercises. I had to give all these different examples of diets and how to diet and why I don't like the word diet. Um, Other lifestyle adaptations about sleep, de-stressing, prayer, meditation, any type of spiritual aspect of it, the habitual nature of food and culturally how we idolize it and how it's ingrained in almost every single thing that we do, proving to them that breakfast is not the most important meal of the day, that in fact you do eat for tomorrow, not for today. And all for all intents and purposes, there are certain extreme examples that maybe we can dive into about where what you eat that day could play a significant role. Obviously, going to an all you can eat buffet before you run a marathon might not necessarily be the best idea, but I'm sure some people do it. Um, so, in reality, the way it works is I have a very simple, basic program that if you read through it, it's really hard to argue with it. And if you read through it again with the mindset of, what all do I do? How many of these things do I actually do every single day? Most people that read through it do some of them, but almost no one does all of them. And if they do all of them, they generally don't require my services or the accountability that I offer, which is it's kind of funny. I've scoured the internet looking at all these different programs, personal trainers, physical therapists, doctors who got sick of modern medicine and decided to maybe start doing some wellness and preventative care on the side. I've looked at all of their programs and I've picked out the things that I think are the biggest bang for your buck. The 80-20 rule, 20% of the effort for 80% of the results. That's a huge staple in what I believe in. So basically what happens is we do a little consult or a conversation. We talk about everything. I get an idea of how their life goes, what they do every day, what they do on maybe days they work, what they do on their off days, what they do when they're feeling good, or maybe even what they do when they're not feeling so good. um, and once I start to do that, I get an idea of who this person really is and what their life looks like. And once you get that understanding of the unique individual you're talking to, you can really tailor a program to them that is not only doable and realistic, but super super functional and beneficial. Uh, and it's just one of those things where over the last few years, there's been people with high blood pressure that have been to so many doctors and are so tired of taking medication every single day, and something as simple as them taking 5 or 10 minutes in the morning and the evening to relax and de-stress. That was all they needed. Their blood pressure dropped. They don't need the medications. People who are pre-diabetic are no longer pre-diabetic. People who have Crohn's disease, their flares aren't as bad, or maybe they're in complete remission for a while. People with allergies, when you experiment with fasting, you go into the research of the autophagy or autophagy and how the various cells that release histamine, like your mast cells and your basophils and stuff that are really important in allergic reactions, are downregulated and recycled, and that with just moderate fasting on any regular basis can drastically reduce the effects of allergies, which are horrible and affect you every day. You know, People that wake up in the morning, they don't feel super sore. they actually are excited to start their day. You know, they're excited to get into bed because they know they're going to sleep. And so many of us struggle with sleep. It's wild. You know, we struggle with hydration, just simply drinking water, eating actual real food, and getting over the fact that the excuse of saying real food is too expensive is just that, an excuse. You can totally do it. You know, once we start breaking down all these barriers, the more variables that you can eliminate, the more accurately you can find the problem or the issue or issues that each person is experiencing. And I don't want you to think that I'm going to go into this super judgmentally and make you feel horrible, you know, blowing a whistle and screaming at you, because that's not really my approach. I do get loud, I do get animated, definitely. Like that's just who I am. That's my personality, and I promise that I do it positively. I I think laughter is a huge thing, and making people have fun and enjoying what they're doing is a massive part of any program, no matter what it's for. Like be it athletics, health, wellness, weight loss, finance, stop. I mean anything. You need to enjoy what you're doing, because if you don't enjoy the program that you're actually doing, you're going to view it as like a job, and nobody needs another job. We'll probably need another job, but you don't want one that you're paying for. Um, so yes, that is a little bit more on what we go through on a daily basis, whenever, or weekly basis, or bi-weekly basis when we check up. The program that you can find on my website totally for free with some explanations, that's not everything. That's really just the base. And I believe that if everybody just did those things, the 7 things that I listed out, in some way or another, you know, more days than they don't, they probably wouldn't need me. But a lot of people need accountability, and I'm happy to offer that. And having experienced the condescending nature that is modern medicine, I realized that that's not necessarily the most efficient way to communicate. It doesn't really make people feel good. And if my entire job is to make you feel better, look better, want to do life better, why would I want to make you feel worse? So, again, you know, money, that's a big issue, right? For everybody today. Another rant, another side note or whatever to this video log. I get it. It seems expensive to spend $60 a month or $100 a month to talk to somebody. And what I want you to realize is this isn't like your beta blocker or your statin or your insulin or your metformin or your baby aspirin. I by no means want you to be a part of my program forever. In fact, I would love to get people in and get them out to where they don't need me anymore and they're doing all the things that we've talked about without me. But if I actually want to do this officially forever, I need to put food on the table, you know, put a roof over my head. And I have a lot of supportive family members right now that are really helping me get through this until residency starts. But you know what? In July and August, I'd love to not have to do my residency. I'd love to actually make a difference. And I know modern medicine, physicians, we make a difference in people's lives every day. We keep you alive, but we don't do a very good job of letting you feel your best while you are alive. You know, we don't really stop your diabetes, but we are the first to jump and tell you to get on dialysis every single day for the rest of your life, when that could have 100% been prevented. You know, we might save your life with a bypass, but do they really do that much to prevent it from happening in the first place? Like your doctors, your GPs, your family medicine practitioners, your internists, your hospitalists, they pretty much all know or have a decent idea of how to make you not have to go through all of this. But the legality of trying to say something, or maybe scare tactics or whatever some people need, they just don't do it. It's not worth being sued. It's not worth losing their license. So they give you medication to keep your vitals decent, your labs decent, you know, those values that are based on the average population and really don't take into account natural variation that we all have at all. You know, some people have high blood pressure. Some people have really low blood pressure or really low pulse that aren't even in very good shape. Some people's cholesterol is higher. When you go on a carnivore or ketogenic or paleo type diet, cholesterol can go up a little bit. But those lab values aren't necessarily based on people that do that. But that information is never relayed. You know, people's blood sugar is up. They do the test, the blood sugar test, the hour and 3 hour test, pregnant 2 hour. And patients leave not really knowing how to change that. And to me, that's so wrong. And everyone wants to figure out who to blame. Everyone wants to figure out who to blame. Doctors in the back of their minds are blaming the patient, right? Or they're blaming pharmaceutical companies that are the only ones that can really afford to run a trial to then change the algorithmic regulations that they have to follow so that if they do get sued, their insurance does cover it. It's like exhausting. They know how to help you. They just can't speak freely. Like if I could just tell you, on a weekly basis, how many doctors that I talk to that just wish like they could just scream at their patients exactly what they want to say, but they're not allowed to say it. They can't do it. And for confidentiality reasons, I'm not going to tell you who they were, where they work or practice or anything like that. But it's just so sad. I promise if you are overweight, we can totally find a solution to this problem that doesn't seem like, you're not pulling your hair out. You're not depressed or more upset. You'll start feeling better. You'll start contributing to maybe this aura or lifestyle of positivity that other people totally, totally are contagious to. Like, everybody wants to talk about how contagious the coronavirus is, but like positivity and kindness are so much more contagious. And everyone rolls their eyes at it and just says, hey, that's a pipe dream. You just got your MD. Just do residency. Just do residency, just jump when they tell you to jump. If they say how high, do it. Heaven forbid you have your own actual opinion. Make sure you only say that to people who you either have dirt on and won't say anything or who agree with you. Like, everyone's about free speech, and no one in the healthcare world really gets to use it unless they're a big enough name that they can't really be taken down by it. And I'm a very small name. I'm just one person from Nashville, Indiana. And I think that it's silly to me. Healthcare practitioners and professionals are some of the most unhealthy, overweight, chronically ailed or have the most chronic ailments of any profession that there is. The people that you go see every single day to take care of you are some of the most unhealthy people in the world. And it's not just their fault, it's their hours and having to document everything twice and triple and quadruple checking to where now you have a situation where they only spend 5 to 10 minutes with you and then 20 to 45 minutes or more for each person trying to document things so that if something goes wrong, they don't lose their license or their life savings or their house. Like, and the loans involved with medicine and going to medical school are so extreme and large that it's like nobody wants to ask questions. They just kind of want to do what they are told to do so that they can finally maybe pay off their debts, which are just crazy to me, how expensive it is. And then you have people like me, who actually want to help. I've helped so many people for free. I charge maybe a third or a quarter of what anyone else or any other doctor you might talk to. Go to your primary care physician. Ask them about, physical therapy and recovery without them just saying you should talk to a physical therapist. Ask them about how to reduce the symptoms of their, autoimmune conditions without being linked to some infectious disease expert or some specialist. How do they actually reverse their diabetes without having to talk to a nephrologist? Um, Everyone just delegates everything because everyone is so afraid of being sued for anything that comes out of their mouth. And it's exhausting. And I'm not going to do that. I don't really have to. I mean, in reality, my whole goal is to have 75 to 100 people at one time that I'm working with. And if there's more people, then they can go on a list. But I'm not going to treat everybody like this number to just try and get them in and out as much as I possibly can. I'm going to do videos like this, articles. I'll do my weekly live stream and try to reach as many people as I possibly can. But at the end of the day, I'm not the one who reaches everybody. It's the people that I work with who do make a difference. Um, if I reach 100 people, awesome, right? But if those 100 people each reach, 30, 40, 50 people with their experience and passing on the things that I've taught them and worked with them through, and maybe the stuff that they taught me, that's where real change and real difference happens. So, I mean, $60 to $100 a month seems a little bit extreme, right? But How many of you people go and get breakfast on your way to work because you were in too big of a hurry because of your morning routine or kids or pets? So you go get breakfast that morning, or maybe you didn't want to make coffee or grind it or put it in the machine or use a Keurig or something like that. So you spend $3 or $4, maybe even more than once a day. You know, you're trying to lose weight, but you're trying to have 5 or 6 small meals a day and buying Tupperware and doing all this meal prep when in reality, weight loss is not necessarily about what you put into your mouth, but what you don't put into your mouth and what you do when you're not putting things into your mouth, you know? It's so much harder to work off calories than it is to never consume them. But whenever you talk about how not to consume them, there's so much information out there and different approaches when in reality there's a lot of or there's a few approaches that work for everyone. And I think it's super frustrating at times to try and break this mold. You know, when you're raised thinking and going through health class like I did in seventh, eighth, ninth grade, talking about more meals a day and your metabolism is a furnace and breakfast is the most important meal of the day and cafeteria lunches just put everything in oil, fry it, give you lots of carbs, but then blame parents for the obesity epidemic when a lot of the parents themselves are overweight or obese and the physicians that tell them that their kids are fat are also fat. And it's like it's just at some point we have to just kind of stop and just say, look, we're not going to be casting shade and blame on other people. Let's just make a difference. Who cares whose fault this is? Let's stop blaming people. And I don't even dare I say take responsibility for your own children, yourself, your life. But who cares? Like let's just do it. Let's just get you better. Let's worry about you. There's like this age-old phrase, how can you take care of somebody else if you can't even take care of yourself? But it can kind of be a little grim and almost like talking down or lecturing or preaching, and that is not what I'm about. I've even been told that I come off judgmental, condescending, arrogant, like a know-it-all, and I'm totally aware of that. That's like a super big issue that I work with daily. And but what a lot of people don't realize is it stems from just years of wanting to help people and being turned away. Like I actually tried to change some of the nutritional recommendations that occur at a particular hospital and was told that that it was just not possible. That white bread and jello and crackers is what we should be giving chemo patients and diabetics. And I'm just thinking to myself, this is insane. Like, no, don't do that. Why? Why are we doing that? Talk about changing and maybe updating or regulating the diets of hospice patients and then getting told like don't ever talk to them about nutrition ever. You're not allowed to do that. You're a medical student. That kind of stuff scars you, it stays with you. And it maybe, in my case, snowballed. Maybe I do seem a little bit condescending or arrogant or frustrated or upset. And I apologize for that, but I don't mean to come off that way. I truly want to help everyone. If I could help every single person free of charge, if I was just, some trust fund baby who could do all of this for free, spend every hour of my waking day when I'm not taking my dog out or feeding my cat or something like that, helping people, I would do it. I would do it and I wouldn't even ask a single question because that's kind of how I was raised, help other people. Sometimes the best way to get through something difficult or a struggle going on in your life is to pick up somebody next to you. It's one thing my coach used to say in college whenever you're struggling with running. Pick up the guy next to you. You'll be totally surprised with how helpful that is to yourself. So again, we've kind of went on a little rant here, just been talking about all kinds of things. Maybe some of the benefits that some of my clients have had in the past. They're able to continue doing the job that they wanted to do, that they weren't sure if they were going to be able to do it. I'm not really allowed to go into too much specifics because I do have confidentiality with everybody I've worked with. Better relationships with their kids. They don't necessarily seem as hypocritical when they make recommendations because they're actually doing the things they recommend. Certain people that work with very damaged individuals psychologically and physically for various reasons, they feel better. And that's kind of a burdensome job, talking to some people that have been through severe trauma, that can be a weight on you. And unless you actually take time for yourself to de-stress and manage your own life, I mean, that's not sustainable. And for those people, maybe they didn't lose a lot of weight, but just the simple intuition of how to do so and how to pay attention to their own body, their own mind, their own health and wellness was what they needed. Like that was what they needed, and that was the biggest part for them. And it's so hard to put a dollar sign on that, like adding 20 years onto somebody's life. How do you market that? And how do you sell that? On the internet, you might see some biohack coined term that I think they're just ridiculous. But that's kind of what I do. I make people find the most acceptable and accommodating and intuitive way to feel better and do better and be better. If they want to lose weight, they lose weight. We don't necessarily just cut calories and then charge $1,600 for, 8 weeks. And then you pay up front because if you fall off, who cares? You paid me money. There's so many nutritionists that want to take super dated information, throw a few words at you like anti-nutrients, like phytates, oxalates, and things of that nature. They want to push like a plant-based diet despite there being just as much evidence to show that plant-based diets are so not sustainable, and how much better meat is anabolically, protein-wise. I mean, you guys probably went through this with eggs, fat, sugar, and all these, different trends that have changed. Diet Cokes. Oh man, dude, better not have artificial sweeteners. Holy crap. The amount of studies that have came out trying to get people to stop having artificial sweeteners is just, it's mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. There's all these studies showing how much like a cancer increase these artificial sweeteners have, but they don't talk about the cancer reductions of not being overweight, diabetic, hypertensive, metabolic syndrome, having these chronically flared autoimmune conditions like rheumatoid arthritis, psoriatic arthritis, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis. Like the list goes on, like life in cancer is just a percent game. It's a teeter-totter of negative risks and positive risks. The more bullets you put into your gun, or whatever metaphor or expression you want to use of protecting yourself, you're always going to have risk factors. Just breathing air is a risk factor for cancer. Drinking water, being out in the sun, but it also has negative risk factors, things that protect you from cancer, like being super pale versus being super tan. Being super pale, yeah, you didn't get exposed to all the UV rays, but whenever you have just a moderate tan whatsoever, that is protective from the sun for when you, heaven forbid, have to go outside. And having chronically reduced or low vitamin D levels is just as much, if not a greater cancer risk than if you just were to go out in the sun anyway. The sunblock versus sunscreen, and the estrogens involved in them. The estrogens involved, sorry. This should be on my live stream, honestly, which you should totally check out this weekend at 8 a.m. But anyway, this is just a little vlog where I'm just going to go through a few different things. I hope you guys enjoy it. Hope you're having a great day. And it's a little bit about my program, what I do, what I'm about, why I'm doing it. And on my website, startfreshmd.com, you can totally donate. I accept it. I realize my equipment is not that great. But every donation that I get is going to go into improving my website, my content, my equipment, my live stream, and being able to continue doing it 100%. So, once I reach my 75 to 100 client goal, that's it. Then it's a waiting list, and I just get to focus on giving everyone as much as I possibly can of myself every single day in the hopes that I make a difference in just one person's life. I'm not one of those people that just wants numbers of people and fame and fortune. I would love to just be able to get by and help as many people as I possibly can. So anyway, hope you guys have a great day. Thank you for watching this video log. I am Tanner Freshour, Dr. Fresh, Dr. Freshour, whatever you want to call me. And I will see you guys next time. Take care.